When determining the spacing of receptacles in an exterior wall, the presence of a fixed panel, such as the non-sliding side of a door, impacts where the measurement should begin. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, mandates that receptacles be spaced in such a way that no point along the wall line is more than 6 feet from a receptacle outlet. This requirement ensures that extension cords are not used excessively, thereby reducing potential safety hazards. The NEC guidelines provide specific instructions on how to handle fixed panels or similar obstructions when calculating receptacle spacing. A fixed panel is considered an area that is not easily accessible for placing a receptacle. To comply with the NEC and ensure proper receptacle spacing, the measurement should begin from the outermost edge of the fixed panel. That is, from the side of the non-sliding part of the door that is furthest from the wall itself. This approach ensures that the accessible wall space is adequately covered by receptacles, meeting the code's intent. The NEC specifies spacing requirements for receptacles in dwelling units to ensure convenience and safety. The general rule is that receptacles should be installed so that no point along the wall line is more than 6 feet measured horizontally from a receptacle outlet. This spacing minimizes the use of extension cords, which can pose tripping hazards and overload circuits. When a fixed panel, like a non-sliding door or a large window, is present, it affects how the 6-foot measurement is applied. The measurement for receptacle spacing should start from the edge of the fixed panel that is accessible and usable. In the case of a non-sliding door, this would be the side of the door frame that is opposite the wall against which the door rests when closed. This ensures that the accessible wall space is adequately served by receptacles. The principle behind this rule is to provide convenient access to electrical outlets throughout a living space. By starting the measurement from the accessible side of the fixed panel, the code ensures that the usable wall space has outlets within the required intervals. Ignoring this rule could result in areas where extension cords are necessary, which increases the risk of electrical hazards. Extension cords are often misused, leading to overloaded circuits, overheating, and potential fires. Properly spaced receptacles reduce the reliance on extension cords, thereby enhancing safety. The NEC also addresses specific situations where receptacles are required, such as along countertops in kitchens and bathrooms. These requirements are designed to provide convenient access to power for appliances and personal care devices. The spacing requirements for these areas may differ from the general rules for wall receptacles. For example, countertop receptacles are typically required to be spaced no more than 24 inches apart. In addition to spacing, the NEC specifies requirements for the type of receptacles to be used in certain locations. Ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection is required for receptacles in wet or damp locations such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. GFCI protection helps prevent electrical shock by detecting ground faults and quickly cutting off power to the circuit. Arc fault circuit interrupter, or FSI protection, is required for receptacles in many areas of the home, particularly in bedrooms. FSIs detect arc faults, which are a common cause of electrical fires, and energize the circuit to prevent a fire from starting. The NEC is updated every 3 years to incorporate new technologies and address emerging safety concerns. It is important for electricians and other professionals involved in electrical installations to stay current with the latest edition of the code. Local jurisdictions may also have additional requirements or amendments to the NEC, so it is essential to check with local authorities to ensure compliance. Proper receptacle spacing and installation are crucial for ensuring electrical safety and convenience in residential and commercial buildings. By following the NEC guidelines and local regulations, electrical professionals can help prevent electrical hazards and create safe and functional living and working spaces. In summary, when a fixed panel is present, the measurement should begin from the edge of the fixed panel that allows for the most usable wall space to be covered by receptacles. This approach ensures that the code's intent of providing convenient access to electrical outlets is met. Remember to always consult the latest edition of the NEC and local regulations for specific requirements and guidelines. Understanding the principles behind receptacle spacing and placement helps ensure that electrical installations are both safe and functional. By adhering to these guidelines, you can contribute to creating safer and more convenient living and working environments. In areas with fixed panels such as doors, it is crucial to accurately measure from the correct point to ensure code compliance. This not only involves understanding where to measure from, but also adhering to the specific distance requirements outlined in the electrical code. The code provides guidelines for the maximum distance allowed between receptacle outlets, and these guidelines must be followed precisely to ensure safety and convenience. Proper receptacle spacing is essential for several reasons. Firstly, it minimizes the need for extension cords, which can be a significant source of electrical hazards. Extension cords are often used improperly, leading to overloaded circuits, overheating, and an increased risk of fire. By providing an adequate number of receptacles spaced appropriately, the code helps reduce the reliance on extension cords and promotes a safer electrical environment. Secondly, proper receptacle spacing ensures that electrical outlets are readily accessible and conveniently located. This is particularly important in areas where electrical appliances and devices are commonly used, such as kitchens, bathrooms, and home offices. Conveniently located receptacles make it easier to plug in and use electrical devices without having to stretch cords across the room or rely on makeshift solutions. Thirdly, proper receptacle spacing contributes to the overall aesthetic appeal of a space. When receptacles are spaced evenly and strategically, they blend seamlessly into the design of the room and do not detract from the overall appearance. This is especially important in modern homes and commercial buildings where aesthetics are a key consideration. In addition to spacing requirements, the electrical code also addresses the type of receptacles that are required in certain locations. For example, ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, receptacles are required in areas where there is a high risk of electric shock, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor locations. GFCI receptacles are designed to detect ground faults and quickly interrupt the flow of electricity, thereby preventing serious injury or death. Similarly, arc fault circuit interrupter, or FSI, receptacles are required in bedrooms and other areas where there is a high risk of electrical fires. FSI receptacles are designed to detect arc faults, which are a common cause of electrical fires, and quickly shut off the power to the circuit, preventing a fire from starting. The electrical code also specifies requirements for the height at which receptacles must be installed above the floor. These requirements are designed to ensure that receptacles are easily accessible and do not pose a tripping hazard. In general, receptacles should be installed at least 12 inches above the floor, but this height may vary depending on the specific location and the intended use of the receptacle. When installing receptacles, it is important to use the correct wiring methods and materials. The electrical code specifies the type of wiring that is required for different applications, and it is essential to follow these requirements to ensure a safe and reliable electrical installation. In addition, it is important to use high-quality receptacles that are designed to withstand the demands of everyday use. Cheap or poorly made receptacles can be a fire hazard and should be avoided. Before starting any electrical work, it is essential to obtain the necessary permits and approvals from your local building department. This will ensure that your work is inspected and meets all applicable code requirements. It is also important to hire a qualified and licensed electrician to perform any electrical work that you are not comfortable doing yourself. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to leave it to the professionals. In summary, proper receptacle spacing and installation are essential for ensuring electrical safety and convenience in residential and commercial buildings. By following the guidelines in the electrical code and working with qualified professionals, you can create a safe and functional electrical environment for your home or business. By adhering to these guidelines, you contribute to creating safer and more convenient living and working environments. When calculating receptacle spacing near a fixed panel or door, it is important to start your measurement from the correct point to ensure compliance with electrical codes and standards. This not only guarantees the safety of the electrical system, but also provides convenience for users by minimizing the need for extension cords. In the context of a non-sliding door, the measurement should commence from the side of the door frame that is furthest away from the wall. This approach ensures that the adjacent wall space is adequately covered by receptacles, meeting the requirements outlined in the National Electrical Code, or NEC. Understanding the intricacies of these measurements is crucial for both electricians and homeowners to maintain a safe and functional environment. To accurately determine the starting point for receptacle spacing, several factors must be considered. Firstly, the definition of a fixed panel, which includes non-sliding doors, large windows, and other permanent obstructions, needs to be clear. These fixed panels effectively reduce the usable wall space for placing receptacles, and therefore, the measurement should account for their presence. Secondly, the specific requirements of the NEC regarding receptacle spacing must be thoroughly understood. The code dictates that no point along a wall line should be more than 6 feet away from a receptacle. This rule is designed to minimize the use of extension cords, which can pose safety hazards. Thirdly, the physical layout of the room or space where the receptacles are being installed should be carefully analyzed. This involves identifying all fixed panels and determining the most logical and practical placement of receptacles to maximize their utility and convenience. The NEC also provides guidelines for specific areas within a building, such as kitchens, bathrooms, and hallways. In these areas, the spacing requirements may differ to accommodate the specific needs of the space. For example, in kitchens, receptacles are typically required to be installed at shorter intervals along countertops to provide convenient access to power for appliances. In bathrooms, receptacles must be ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protected to prevent electrical shock in wet environments. When measuring from the side of a non-sliding door, it is important to account for the thickness of the door frame and any trim or molding that may be present. The measurement should begin from the outermost edge of the frame or trim, ensuring that the full usable wall space is considered. Additionally, it is essential to use accurate measuring tools and techniques to ensure that the receptacles are spaced correctly. A tape measure or laser distance meter can be used to precisely determine the distance between receptacles and the starting point at the edge of the fixed panel. In situations where the wall line is interrupted by architectural features such as corners or alcoves, the measurement should be taken along the wall line following its contours and changes in direction. This ensures that the entire usable wall space is adequately covered by receptacles. Furthermore, it is important to consider the future use of the space when determining receptacle placement. If there is a possibility that furniture or other obstructions may be placed against the wall, the receptacle should be positioned to avoid being blocked or inaccessible. This may involve adjusting the spacing or height of the receptacles to accommodate potential obstructions. Finally, it is always recommended to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to ensure that the receptacle installation complies with all applicable codes and standards. These professionals have the expertise and experience to identify potential issues and provide guidance on best practices. In summary, accurate measurement and careful planning are essential for ensuring proper receptacle spacing near fixed panels such as non-sliding doors. By following the guidelines outlined in the NEC and consulting with qualified professionals, you can create a safe and functional electrical system that meets the needs of the space and its occupants. Remember to always prioritize safety and compliance when working with electrical systems. Improperly installed receptacles can pose serious hazards, including electrical shock, fire, and equipment damage. Taking the time to plan and execute the installation correctly is well worth the effort.